Should we get started? I guess I'll kick it off with a bit of an introduction and then hand over to you, Connor.
Yeah, sounds good.
Hello, welcome to the ALPS22 Scout Network introduction. No doubt you've seen the many emails that have come out about ALPS22 and then the role that we're taking as the Scout Network coordinators. So I'm Will Wood, done any scouting for long time. I went to Uganda in 2015 as a participant, 2019 as a leader, and then also help at Greenham near Newbury. So that's my kind of thing. And then, over to you, Connor.
So yeah, I'm Connor, the network coordinator. I was part of Uganda 2019. I'm part of First Wolverhampton. I'm a club leader there, and that's part of Tayson District. It's not one of the most well-known groups. And yeah, I'm with the two network coordinators for the trip, and we're hoping it's going to be a good one.
Great. Let's just kick it.
All right, so that's me and Will then. So the event itself, happening end of August next year. It's 2 weeks in the Alps. It's going to be kind of very, very much activity based, but there'll be enough time to do cultural visits as well, and a few other things along the side. One of the exciting parts from our point of view is being able to organise how we actually get out there. So, travel wise, I think the plan we're thinking initially, though this, as we'll discuss later, this is all kind of quite open. We think we'd probably go out earlier and then do some stuff on the way there. And so, from a journey point of view, we're very flexible. We're there. We're sorting out our own travel as a kind of network group. You're welcome enough to join any groups, but that journey kind of allows us to be a bit more flexible and do something quite fun on the way up. So we're kind of leaving that quite open, and then once we see who's getting involved and wants to join, we're then going to go from there and decide as a group what we want to do. So that's quite exciting. Opportunities for us will probably be involved a bit with the kind of main program for main groups, but also we're adults, we can do our own stuff. We're a bit more flexible. The youngsters, a bit less restricted, can be involved in the kind of more adventurous activities and things like that. So from that point of view, we're able to kind of do our own thing as well a little bit on the trip. We're going to cover a lot of stuff in a bit more detail as we go along. So we'll look at costs and Q&A stuff. I think Will's going to discuss that a bit later. But yeah, that's kind of what we're covering.
Sounds good. So we'll start with a bit of an overview. So as we just said, it's all about basically a jamboree in the mountains. So rather than one just where you meet up somewhere in the UK, we'll go somewhere a bit different. We'll be traveling. Well, the actual jamboree is the 16th to the 26th of August 2022, but that doesn't include travel. So we'll have to make our own way there. Something for everything, shaped by you. So as we're a older contingent, we can do, as Connor said, a bit more. We've got a bit more freedom. Having fun, making friends, and challenging yourself. There's training, and getting used to the group and all bonding. And we're supported by a great leader team, and we're going for an environmentally friendly and carbon neutral approach. All Berkshire Scout trips now have to be carbon neutral, so doing our bit. But bear in mind, all of this is COVID restrictions permitting, and I'll say more about that later.
So yeah, location wise, we're in the Alps. It's a nice little area. We've got this campsite in St. Crepin, which is marked by the little green tent you can see. And then around the place, plenty of spots to activities. It's on the river, so kayaking. I believe there's some higher grade stuff there as well. So with the right instructors, we're going to be able to go down that, do a bit more adventurous kind of kayaking, kind of wild water stuff. Climbing wise, you're in a mountain range. The opportunities there are great. We've got a lot of great climbing instructors joined already. So from that point of view, it's going to be great activities. Mountain walking, things like that. The general location overall is just brilliant. We also have a chance to do cultural visits. I don't think we've quite decided where we're going with those yet, but plenty of towns nearby. And we're quite close to the border as well, so I'm not sure what's going to be happening with that. But there's definitely plenty of opportunities for some good fun activities from where we're based.
Great. So this is just more on what the Alps has in store for all of us, and again, this is more of a kind of overview. So I think some sort of whitewater rafting, tackle the wild waters, see the amazing views of the Alps, and kind of just the incredible geography there. Great height, so we're doing quite a bit of climbing and that sort of thing. And if that's what you want, you can tailor it to that. And then, make a splash. So waterfall jumping and that sort of thing, and just enjoying the uh, local environment. So yeah, all the examples there, and the canyoning, whitewater rafting, kayaking, climbing, mountaineering, mountain biking. So all kind of thinking of doing things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do in the UK as easily. Obviously, you can do all the things in the UK, but it's a lot easier when there's kind of dedicated places and stuff out there.
This is a part we think we can get a lot more flexibility on, kind of from a network point of view. From our cultural trips, we'd like to quite keen to organise a few things, and the great opportunity we have here is we can be fairly flexible with what we do. And the plan would be at the moment is to bring a bunch of kind of minibuses, kind of vans out. So from that point of view, it's quite flexible travel. So from that point of view, we're going to look at what we can do as a network group. And I think this kind of outside of the kind of more kind of adventurous activities, we're going to have a lot more flexibility about kind of local areas you can go, which kind of links in nicely to some of the other benefits we can get from coming as a network. So you still go along, even though we're no longer technically a scout age, but you don't have to have the responsibilities of a leader. Maybe independent, you're going to be your own participant, which will be good fun. Again, more adventurous program. We're not necessarily going to be as restricted as the scouts, and it's also we've got plenty. We can have the opportunity to work as a smaller group as well, like I was mentioning, just giving us the flexibility around what we can do. And that's very much something we're, as network coordinators, we're quite keen to incorporate. Is actually we want the participants, so other network people, to shape this trip. We want to make sure it's tailored towards what we as a network group want. And as kind of older people being participants, we're going to have a lot more control and decisions that we can make towards tailoring the whole trip overall.
So there's also lots of opportunities if you want to finish off your top awards, do your DAB or Queen Scout. That we can definitely the trip's based around accommodating that and going from there. And just if you've got specific stuff you need to tailor it to, just let us know, and we'll raise it with the other leaders, and we'll be sure to make sure that you can tick all the boxes for your top awards.
And this is something as a kind of the core team, we're all very focused on. We want to support people as getting as many awards as possible. So even if you want to look into it, how can we support you to that? Let us know early, and we're going to try as much as possible to incorporate that into the program.
Yeah, and then leading on to travel. So as it's a jamboree, we have to make our own way there. Now, there's three different options. You can either travel with us as a network unit, and that's something that we'll consider again, maybe close to the time. If you are still have quite close ties to your district, you can travel with your district. However, you'll have to organise it with them directly. Or if none of these options work because of work, university, school, all those commitments are too much, then you are able to travel independently. And from a network point of view, we're going to try and keep travel around the 200, £250 mark on top. If that's too much for people, then we can look at bringing it down. But if the general consensus is that we want to spend a bit more and maybe spend a night in Paris, or get something a bit exotic like the hovercraft, then we can accommodate that and kind of tailor it to what the general consensus is. And then you're all probably wondering how much will it cost. So at the moment we're saying it will cost up to £1,150, inclusive of £150 deposit payable on booking, and then the rest of it is split up into three-stage payments, so November, March, and June. And fundraising could raise it, or other ways to do it. And then what's included? So camp fees, basically everything on site. So camp fees, catering, all on site and off site activities, transportation of your unit kit from the UK and to the campsite and on return. So if you want to take a bigger bag for the jamboree, because that's 10 days, you can take a small day pack with you on travel before, and then we'll load it up into minibuses in the UK before you go, and then your luggage will meet you there. in the Alps. And then in terms of travel insurance, as some of you may know, on previous international trips, Unity, the Scout insurer, is covering that. And just to clarify that if you're traveling as part of the Scout trip, even if that's independently, you are covered. And there's set time either side of the main event. However, if you are going out there and then you bounce off of it to do something not Scout related, you'd have to sort your own insurance. But if it's Scout related, you'll be covered, and then all the local transfers. So just another note there that travel will be an additional charge. And then in terms of COVID, as I'm sure it's a question at the forefront of your mind, there's a checkpoint in late November. I think it's the 21st, but I'll have to double check that. Whether the event is feasible, this would be a go, no go decision. We are, as the core leadership team, thinking of other events to go ahead, other kind of plans in place if we can't get to the Alps. However, the two bits there from the actual terms and conditions. If we deem the event to be unviable, then the deposit will be returned in full. If the event is deemed to be viable, then they'll have to use your deposit towards that. But there's been good news recently. The Scout Association has made England the readiness level green, which means international travel can resume, but we need to follow the Foreign and Commonwealth Office advice on that. But if there's any major changes, we'll communicate that to you by email, so it's straight in your inbox. And then looking ahead, whether you want to fundraise as a network group or you will decide that you just get a job and fund it that way. And then we'll have further sessions on network travel and transport and what we want. Pre-event training is still being decided, but we'll get together as a contingent and all to meet up with each other and bond and go from there. Again, planning the network program and also that plan B that we're going on from there. So
it's
Connor,
worth clarifying that by pre-event training, we don't mean that it's like actual training for the trip. It's more going to be getting together as a group prior to it and kind of just meeting and making sure we're kind of prepared to be there together and just make sure that we all kind of know each other before we're literally on the day of the trip starting traveling.
Brilliant. Unless you've got anything else to add, Connor, we'll go over to Chris. Anything else to add?
No, I think you covered most of it.
Covers it. Yeah. And then we've got a dedicated ALPS22 network at berkshire-scouts.org.uk if you think of any questions after this, or we'll open up the floor to you. So you can either type the question in chat or unmute your mic and ask. But yeah, if there's anything else that you're not sure of, just ask away.
And likewise for the recording, feel free to drop us a line at any point. We're happy to arrange a separate call at a time that suits you if you wanted to have a bit more of a in-person conversation about it.
No, and any questions, or have we covered everything pretty well?
Hi. For those of us who don't have any sort of DBS or Scout leadership training, will that be something that has to be done before we go out?
Good question. So as you be going as a Scout Network member, there wouldn't be a need for a DBS check. However, as you are over 18-year-olds, adults interacting with under 18-year-olds, children, we will have to run a kind of brief session on safeguarding and kind of things to avoid, things not to avoid. Just to keep everybody careful and on the same page.
Thanks.
Any other questions? No. Okay then. Well, if you're all happy with the presentation, happy with the content, we'll be emailing this presentation out to those of you that attended, and then also sharing the recording, so you can share that if you have any friends that couldn't make this, or just drop us an email. And as Connor said, we're happy to have an in-person conversation instead.
I think the important thing as well, just to mention, bookings wise, we're going to be opening it over the next couple of days. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be a form of some kind.
Perfect. Great. Well, we'll leave you to the rest of your evenings, but yeah, thanks for coming, and we look forward to having you on the Alps trip.